Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da. Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da.
Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new episode of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have writer Aaron Wiener on talking about his work in TV and film, his work as a script coordinator, and more. After that, we're going to have a couple of interviews, Kevin Daniels and Luc Ashley about Not Another Church Movie, and Jayde Donovan about Apple Music's 100 Best Albums. Stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And for those of you driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight, listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you out there. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you are streaming us on YouTube and Facebook, hello to all of you there. Thank you for watching tonight. And of course, if you're streaming us on the KTRS app, I know we had a lot of bad weather coming through St. Louis earlier. Hopefully you've stayed up to date with all of our weather updates and alerts here on the Big 550, and we hope you stayed safe throughout the evening. We do appreciate you sticking with us and listening to our show. And as always, if you're hearing us after the fact in the podcast form on whatever platform you get your podcasts, we do appreciate you finding us there. Hopefully you've already subscribed, left us a 5-star review. That always helps us out in search engine optimization. That's a little thing you can do for free to help support the show. So we appreciate that very much, as many of you have already done. We thank you. We've got a bunch of stuff to get to tonight, but first we're going to play our second installment of Comic Book Nostalgia News.
It's been another pretty big week in superhero news, so let's do a little Marvel, a little DC, and a little bit of something else. Now, early in the week, we actually got some pretty interesting reports that long-rumored Vision series was indeed in development. Now, this report came via Variety, and what was reported is that Star Trek Picard executive Terry Matalas was on board as showrunner, and the show was going to be on track for a 2026 release. Now, we haven't seen anything of Paul Bettany's Vision since the end of WandaVision, after the character was rebuilt as the White Vision by S.W.O.R.D. and programmed to track down the Scarlet Witch. Now, after declaring himself the true Vision, he flew away, and fans have been wondering what happened to the character ever since, and it looks like we're going to find out in 2026. Now, not all is good on the Marvel front, though, because we had a bit of an update for Blade. As many of you know, this movie has been nothing but problems and had multiple writers and directors, and it looks like it's hitting another bump in the road. Despite rumors of production starting this summer in Brazil or Mexico, we are getting reports that the film is getting another major rewrite, and not only is it getting a rewrite, they're adding a new male lead villain, suggesting some big changes to the story. Now, apparently Marvel is fairly happy with the structure of the story, so maybe this isn't as big as reported, but it does sound like all is not well on the supernatural side of Marvel Studios. Now, on the DC side, we had some pretty big and good news. Earlier in the week, James Gunn dropped a huge announcement and gave us a big update for Lanterns. As many of you know, a Green Lantern series is headed to HBO Max, but there's been nothing confirmed about the series up until now. Now, Gunn has apparently put together a pretty great creative team, which includes Lost and Watchmen creator Damon Lindelof, who worked on the script for the pilot, and Ozark showrunner Chris Mundy, who will be leading the project. He also revealed that acclaimed comic book writer Tom King was part of this team, and now that we know some scripts have been completed and we have a showrunner, many fans are anticipating some kind of casting news very soon. This show has potential to be huge for DC and establish the cosmic side of the house for James Gunn, so I think a lot of love and care is going into the project. Now finally, we have a little bit of an update on Gen V. Now, as many of you know, Chance Perdomo recently passed away in a motorcycle accident, and many people have been wondering how this will affect the next season of Gen V. Now, creator Eric Kripke did chime in on what's going on, and apparently they're doing everything they can do, well, to handle this with some class. He said they were going to do everything to pay respect to his memory. They would not be recasting the role since nobody could replace him, and they were taking time to craft a new Season 2 storyline, which they began in May, that will honor Chance and his legacy in the upcoming season. So don't expect any recastings for the second season of Gen V. and it seems pretty assured the character will indeed die off screen between seasons. Now, as for rumors in the past week, they've been coming at us fast and furious. We try to report every story over on our YouTube channel, so make sure you come check that out at Comic Book Nostalgia on YouTube. We do our best to bring it to you truthfully and transparently, and really try to keep you in the know. Back to you, James.
Thank you, Lewis. And again, if you're listening and liked what you heard there, check out Comic Book Nostalgia on YouTube. You can also follow him on Twitter and Instagram at CB Nostalgia. He's got a lot of great stuff, especially if you're a Young Justice fan. He really covers a lot of Young Justice, from news to rumors and more. We obviously are hoping Greg Wiseman and company will bring that one back. But I thank you to Lewis for putting that together for your Comic Book Nostalgia news for the week. My next guest has been a writer and a script coordinator for many, many great shows, as well as a script coordinator on Logan. I'm excited to talk to him about all the stuff he's done with his career. We've got Aaron Wiener on the show right now. Thanks very much for your time today.
Thanks for having me, James. Great to see you.
You too. We talked a little bit off air right before the show started. I know there's a lot you can't say, but my goodness, I've just loved Resident Alien with Alan Tudyk, and a lot of people have, because I know that's a question he gets asked about a lot, and I heard him doing his impression of Harry Vanderspiegel at a con recently. Obviously, you're probably as on pins and needles as we are waiting for a season 4 announcement.
Absolutely. I'm eager to hopefully get back to work and make some more great episodes of the show. I'm also so lucky to be working with Alan Tudyk. He is such a talented actor. He's capable of so much on the show, and he's doing it while he's taking over this human body as an alien. So there's just so many layers to his performances. We're so happy and excited to write material for him. It's really the perfect role for him, and it's such a fun show.
And for those of you who haven't had a chance to see it yet, the first 2 seasons are on Netflix, and I think the 3rd season, if I'm not mistaken, is exclusively on Peacock, or is it also on Sci-Fi as well?
That's correct. Peacock and Sci-Fi.
Okay. And so, yeah, the guest stars you just recently had Clancy Brown as one of the voices. Obviously, you had Nathan Fillion on. The cast themselves, the live action cast, is great. When you're doing a show like this, you were able to write the very first episode of the 3rd season. Any pressure having to write, bringing the series back for that 3rd season, or was it just another day at the office for you?
It was a really fun experience. I was so lucky to have the opportunity to co-write the episode with Chris Sheridan and Astrid Dubai, 2 incredible people. I feel so fortunate to work with them. I'm hoping to be able to work with them for many years to come. And the 3 of us worked seamlessly together, and it was really just a fun experience. Resident Alien is a really unique show. I've worked on, 15, 20 shows, I think, in my career, and most of them were all single genre shows. There were a couple shows that I worked on that were more than 1, maybe crossover to 2. The show I was on before this was a show on Disney Channel called Sydney to the Max. Mm-hmm. So that was a kids and family sitcom, but we also sort of flashed back to the past. So there was a fun, genre angle to that. But Resident Alien really is like, 6 or 7 genres in one. It's so fun to write for, when we're in the room and we're talking about ideas, the board is wide open. And, it really just is a great job for somebody like me who's worked in every genre independently over the years, but has a chance on this show to combine them all and really just let my creative, ideas flow.
And I'm always curious, maybe you can do a little inside baseball for us, because I've had writers and actors, producers from different TV shows on the show over the years, and I always love to ask the question to find out how much room there is, because obviously you've got someone like Alan Tudyk. I'm imagining there's going to be some improv involved. Is everything strictly scripted, or do we see moments where, oh my gosh, you know what? That was priceless. Let's keep that in. Is there a lot of that, or is it strictly scripted?
Well, I think on our show, everything is scripted, but I think on pretty much every show I've worked on, there's always some improvisation going on stage. And I think that's a great mix. You really want to make sure that you have all the key beats of the story set up, and you have the lines that's written in the script. And then if there's time, I think some of the best showrunners I've worked with leave some extra room for playing around on stage.
Yeah, exactly. And in our chats, I'm paying better attention to the chats tonight. Hello, Chance from Atlanta, Georgia. He runs the Nostalgic Pod Blast. If you're a fan of nostalgia in general, he's been doing a lot of great shows like comic book unboxings lately, and he covers a lot of plethora of great TV shows and things like that. So if you're listening right now, get the chance, check out the Nostalgic Pod Blast from Chance there in Atlanta. One of the ones I've got a question about is you've got several different hats: script manager versus script coordinator. What is the technical difference, or is that IMDb just kind of being ambiguous with a title, or is there a big difference between the two roles?
Well, there's a few different roles in a writer's room when you're coming up as a support staff member, which was my track. The first one is writer's PA. That's somebody who works in the room and hopefully has a chance to sit in at times and see how these amazing stories are coming together. Once you do that for a little while, the idea is that you get a job called writer's assistant, and that's a little different in comedy and in drama, slightly different, where a writer's assistant on a drama will be the person who works in the room predominantly. But on a comedy, a writer's assistant and a script coordinator will often split their time in the room. And those are the people who are taking, compiling, distributing story notes, and making sure that everybody's up to date on all the material that's flying around in the room. Once you do writer's assistant for a while, or was my experience, I became a script coordinator. Then you add some more responsibilities to those responsibilities I was mentioning earlier, including you keep track of all the script versions from a single paragraph for an episode all the way through outline, first draft, studio draft, network draft, production draft, and then all the different color page revisions. And then you also are responsible for distributing the scripts and the revisions to all the actors, the crew, the studio, the network. You also coordinate with the legal department on all clearance issues and make sure that those are addressed in future pages during the production process. And you also oftentimes are tasked with creating and updating the series Bible. So you're often leaned on as being somebody who has very specific knowledge of each character and each storyline and what we've talked about, even in the minutia of every show that you work on.
So does a script like that, especially one, now we've got 3 seasons already of Resident Alien, so just use that as an example. Is there someone who is a script coordinator who specifically follows Asta's path, and another one for Darcy's, another one for Harry's, or is it just a couple of people who have to kind of oversee all of it?
Yeah, it's a comprehensive document. Let's just put it that way. So it's a pretty significant document. Lucky for us, I often hear stories of people who did my job, 30 years ago, who would have to type the scripts on a typewriter, and then of course you progressed into having to photocopy them on a Xerox machine and deliver them with your car to everyone who needed to get one. Luckily now we're living in the age of the internet. We have some pretty amazing software out there that allows us to move things around with great ease.
Yeah, I mean, technology is just, it's changed Hollywood, because we've talked to, we had voice actor Matthew Watterson on the show last week who talked about how, back then you used to be in the recording studio with everybody. Now you can do it from your home. COVID kind of changed a lot of that too, but it's amazing how much technology has kind of changed the way pictures are made and scripts are written and everything like that. That's kind of weird to think about. It didn't seem like that long ago, just 30 years ago, and here we are now doing things in a completely different manner.
Yeah, technology is fantastic. I use tons of new technology in my work. I'm obviously a big fan of Final Draft. I've done some work consulting for them over the years. We use a program very often called Writers Room Pro, which is absolutely fantastic and certainly helps with tackling story and writing tasks remotely. And we have a great program called Synchronize that allows us to send things out as needed to 400 or 500 people at a time if we need to.
And I wish we could have had you on closer to the strike ending, because I think I was just having this conversation with a couple of friends today. It's like, boy, the writers, without the writers on these shows and without all the stuff that goes into it, and there's all the people who, you don't even think of behind the scenes that make these shows great. The stars always get the accolades and the glory, but I'm so glad so many people are paying more attention to the writers and the script people and all the set design and everything like that and costuming, because all that stuff is what brings these projects together that we all love so well. So I assume you obviously are also glad the writer's strike is over. Hopefully things have improved now based on the conditions and everything.
Yeah, I'm very hopeful that the future is bright, and I think getting this next season is obviously top of mind, and hopefully that happens, and we can continue working and making great episodes of Resident Alien. But I think we did the work of making sure that the future of this career is intact for people who are able to continue writing on shows. And, I am optimistic about being a part of that as we move forward. I think that, writers do play a very important role in the process. And, it's definitely been an opportunity that I've been felt very lucky to have over the last 20 years.
And again, if you're just now joining the show, we're talking with writer Aaron Wiener, Resident Alien. Among some of the stuff on his resume, AP Bio is another great show. We just had Patton Oswalt on a couple weeks ago talking about his new comic book, Minor Threats. But it's such a delightful show. I would hope, as someone who got to work on that show, that it was just as fun behind the scenes as we get to see on the camera on the finish side.
Absolutely. I had a great time. I worked on the AP Bio pilot, and it was a fantastic experience. Being on the lot over at Universal was wonderful. And it was just such a fun show. Glenn Howerton, so funny, really brought a special flavor to that character. And Patton Oswalt, obviously, one of the great comedic minds of our time.
Certainly.
I'm so lucky also to live near him, and I see him around at the dry cleaner and the farmer's market all the time. So that's always a delight. And both guys are just the friendliest people, and it was such a great experience working on that show. I'm so glad that it went for as long as it did, because I think it was really a special story.
And if you're listening right now, if you have a question for Aaron, you can either text us on the KTRS text lines at 84126. Just make sure you include your name and where you're from. So this is Bob from Chesterfield, or this is Angie from Vidalia, and just say, here's my question, and we'll ask that on the air as we go. I'll try to do better about monitoring those as we go throughout the night. Are you okay to stick with me through a quick commercial break, Aaron?
Absolutely.
Perfect. We're going to take that break right now. We're going to come right back in just a moment. Talk more with...
Wampa! Hot Wampa Cave! Luke's inside! It connects to Hot Iron Cannon.
Introducing Hoss World, 3 play sets in 1, new from Star Wars Micro Collection line. 19 die-cast figures and action poses included.
Closed doors. Raised tower. Activate Iron Cannon. Connected to Hot Generator attack. Scoutwalkers hit. Target generated. The world of Hot is now! Yeah!
Hoss World from Star Wars Micro Collection line. Playsets also sold separately, figures included, new from Kenner.
You can wish upon a star fairy.
I've been so busy granting wishes, I'm tired. Well, let's fly home to the land of wish come true, and you ride Lavender.
Lavender, the magical unicorn, Jazz and True Love, each sold separately.
Mom left at the clouds. Now Lavender needs to be brushed. She's beautiful. Your turn to ride. 'Cause the only thing more fun than flying is flying on Lavender.
Lavender, the magical unicorn, and Star Fairies, each sold separately. From time.
It is a time when those who control the magic control destiny. When spectral light battle evil darkling lords. Light of the magical light, visionary, with magical powers they fight, visionary.
Hey guys, this is Raoul Coley and I play Dr. Ravi Chakrabarti on the CW's iZombie, and you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
iZombie, one of my very favorite scripted television series of all time, 5 glorious seasons. Rahul Kohli, and you can catch him. He's like everywhere now in all the Haunting of Blythe Manor, and he was just in the new Fall of the House of Usher. So I'm glad to see that Rahul Kohli is doing as well as he is. Want to make sure we tell you about our premier sponsor, the City of St. Charles, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau, the people without whom this show would not be on the air. They were the first people I approached about being a sponsor, and they immediately said yes, and what can we do? Let's go, and they've been with me ever since. The great thing is I've got a wonderful relationship with the city, and it's so great to be able to go down there and go to the CVB and pop in and say hello, and then you go to get iced coffee from Sugar and Slice, and then you walk down the street, you pop into one of the stores there. Again, as I said before, the entire Main Street, North and South Main, is all small businesses, all local businesses. So when you go there and support these places, you buy something, you buy a meal, you buy a scarf, you buy something from one of the stores, you're supporting a small business, you're giving a child dance lessons, or you're making sure that those people can put food on their table. You're not paying it to some faceless corporation. So that's always good to support small businesses, and that's what this entire area is made up of. If you want to get outdoors, we had some rain today, but the weather is nice. We're rolling into a solid spring here pretty soon. Memorial Day coming up tomorrow. You want to get out and have a picnic, go hang out in Frontier Park, throw the Frisbee around, bike ride the Katy Trail, and have a great time. There's always something cool happening in St. Charles. If you haven't done their Hit the Bricks tours, those are a lot of fun. You can look on the website to find those times, and they will take you through Main Street, tell you stuff you may not even know. You might be a resident of St. Charles and you didn't even know. Or maybe you're from Alton, Illinois. Maybe you're from out of town, like our friend Aaron, and haven't visited. Wherever you're coming from, plan your trip at the website. Start there. It's discoverstcharles.com. That's discoverstcharles.com. Make a reservation at a hotel, bring a camper or a trailer out to one of their parks, or just, stay at a nice bed and breakfast right there along Main Street or in that surrounding area. A good time is had by all, but you've got to start at the website to plan your trip. Once again, discoverstcharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. We're chatting for just a little while longer here with Aaron Wiener about his work in script analysis. I'm curious, with a show like Resident Alien, there had to have been some funny stories or some cool times happening in the writer's room. Can you share anything with us?
Well, yeah, I think I will say that when we were coming up with the last couple episodes of this third season, there were a lot of really fun twists and turns. Obviously, we had to wrap up some storylines of the season, and I think that was some of the most fun I've ever had on a show. I don't know if the people who are watching have seen the last couple episodes of this last season of Resident Alien. Definitely don't miss it. Definitely some of the most creative story turns and visual elements I've seen in a show. Really pushing our ability to use sci-fi and effects to the max, and was really fun. I'll also tell another quick story of another. I think probably my one of my favorite moments in a room was I've been lucky over the years to have some great mentors. One of them being a gentleman named Fief Sutton, who I've worked with on and off over the years, and we were doing a pilot together about maybe 10 years ago now. And, Fief used to run Cheers, and
oh, wow.
Has worked with so many incredible writers, and me working with him and for him for so many years, I was able to meet a lot of these people who are coworkers. And one night we were in a room working on this pilot, and we were punching up the pilot after a run through. And I had an opportunity to pitch a joke in the room that wasn't really sure how it was gonna land, but from the corner of the room, I heard just a roaring laugh. And I looked over and I noticed the woman who was laughing. And later that night, she came up to me and she said, I just want to thank you. I haven't laughed like that in a room in a long time. Nice. And I was able to look her up later, and I realized that she was just a legendary sitcom writer who had worked with Fief on Cheers and had worked on the Ellen sitcom, and also was one of the creators of According to Jim. And that was really, I think, one of my most favorite moments in a room was really, seeing somebody laugh hard at a joke that I pitched in the room.
Yeah, that always makes me feel good when I laugh, but I'm married now, so no one laughs at my jokes anymore. But Cheers. I mean, my gosh, that's probably one of my top 10 TV series of all times. That's still holds up well for being, oh gosh, almost 40 years, a little over 40 years old from the start of the show. But James Burrows is another one. I'd love to interview him sometime because I think the amount of TV that man worked on, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these incredible people are still working and churning out great content. I'm actually planning on taking a trip up to the Northeast this coming summer, and we're gonna of course visit the iconic Cheers bar.
Nice, very
so
cool.
Definitely looking forward to that. And I'll say that it's incredible. Even a show like Resident Alien, when we're in the room and we're talking about what a scene might look like, often I'm thinking about classic situational comedy. This is a show that really, if you take it apart and look at the code, if you will, of the DNA of the show, just so many genres packed into one. And I really think that that's one of the things that makes the show so unique. And one of the things that makes it so much fun to work on for me. Being a script coordinator, each episode of a TV show that I work on, I'm reading that script, like I said, from paragraph to final version, maybe 50 times.
Wow.
And so when I look at a script now, I'm seeing it the way that Neo looks at the Matrix. I'm like seeing the code of it all as it rolls by on the screen. And, being able to have so many different types of that code in one show, I think is a really special opportunity.
I'm curious because, this is a pop culture show. We do a lot of comic book stuff on here. So I'm just curious. We always like to talk about people's origin story. Did a young Aaron always know that he was going to be a writer or work in Hollywood? Or how did your path lead you to where you are?
It's interesting when you think about it. This business has always been evolving and changing. But I think as technology and, abilities sort of grow exponentially, the business changes faster and faster. And I think that when I first moved here, I had an opportunity to do an internship at Paramount. So I was on the lot over there. And the plan was to kind of come out for the summer, spend a few months, see whether I liked it. And then, the worst case scenario was it was a summer in California and a great story.
Sure.
But I was really lucky after that internship. I found a job. I actually ended up working on a TV show as an accounting clerk. That was my way to get a job working on a show. And honestly, that was a great first job on a show because I was seeing the budget of the show that I was working on. I was seeing all the different departments, who was in each department, how many people, what unions they were in, basically seeing the skeleton of how you put a show together. And I think that was a very, happy accident for me to get that job first. And then I went and I worked for a movie producer after that. His name was Andy Vanya. He did all the Terminators and all the Rambos and Basic Instinct. I was very lucky to work for Andy. Worked for him for about 3 years. And at that time, I was always planning on being a film producer. While I was working for Andy, I started to notice some of these, bigger changes happening in the business. One being that, the glut of new content was moving from movies to television. And then the other being that, comic book films and, big budget, more, big franchise movies were going to start coming out. And so I chose to go back to school to learn how to write a great script. And I did a professional program at UCLA, which was great because when I took that program, I was working on the television show Bones, which was on the Fox lot. And what was great about that program was the teachers there were pretty much all working writers. And one of them was working on the Fox lot with me. So I would see him during the day and I would say, see you in class later. And I'll say, that was probably 15 or 16 years ago. And that script that I wrote in that class with that writer is still, I think, one of my best samples to this day. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to hear about people's career paths, because some people are like, I didn't go to school for this at all, and be a writer, producer, director, musician. It's always interesting to hear how people get to where they are. And I know we've just got a few minutes left. A lot of people are heavily invested in bringing Resident Alien back for a 4th season. I know a lot of these companies, they look at viewership numbers. So is that the best thing people can do, is just put it on Netflix on binge and go through it? Is it a hashtag thing that people should be doing? What, from what you've heard, is the best thing that we, the fans out here, can do to help you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I would say a little bit of everything helps. All the things that you mentioned, watching on Netflix certainly will help. I know that Netflix released a report of the second half of 2023 recently that showed, show by show what the viewership was. So those types of numbers are certainly helping now and things like this. Social media absolutely is more and more important. I'm very active on Twitter. You can check me out on Twitter. It's my last name and my first name. And then I also I post a lot of additional supplemental marketing material for the show when we're airing on my Instagram, and also share it on my Twitter. Those things are great to repost and comment on. And watching the show on Sci-Fi and on Peacock also certainly helps. And I think a balanced approach is the best way to show everyone that we want to keep this thing going. And I, like I said before, there are big plans for where this show can go. And I really think it's something special that I hope lasts for many years to come.
And to your point, I mean, if you're listening right now and you haven't checked out Resident Alien, if you like comedy, if you like horror, if you like sci-fi, if you like drama, this show really does, to Aaron's point earlier, cover a lot of different genres. I think there's really something for just about everybody to like. My wife is one of those people, as we watch a show, she's got her phone up looking up actors and actresses, looking up, how many seasons or episodes were in this season. So it's really just a fun show, well written, well acted. It's funny, it's heartfelt. So if you haven't checked out this show and you're listening, like we just told you, the first 2 seasons are on Netflix. After that, it's streaming on Peacock and Sci-Fi for the 3rd season. Hopefully, we'll get a 4th season. Last word to you, Aaron. Is there anything else you want to mention, plug, talk about? We didn't even get to talk about Logan, so we're going to have you back on, because that's a whole other conversation. But is there anything else you'd like to say before I let you go?
Yeah, I'd also like to give a plug to one of my new fun projects. It's called Finley the Frenchie. He's an animated French bulldog, and he's got fun comics and memes that I post daily. You can find that on all social media platforms, finleythefrenchie.com as well.
Perfect. And you mentioned it's just your last name and first name on Twitter and Instagram, both, if people want to keep up with you and interact with you there, correct?
Absolutely. And if you want to let me know what you think of the show, you can shoot me a message over there as well.
All right. Aaron Wiener, it's been fantastic. Thanks for taking the time on a Sunday night to be live on air with us. And once that season 4 hits, we'll have you back on.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Be well. Take care. There he goes. Yeah, like I'm serious. If you haven't seen the show yet, folks, check it out. First 2 seasons on Netflix. After that, get the Peacock app, which I think is like a 99-cent for a month trial, so you can blow through the 3rd season in that time easily. Or if you are already subscribed to Sci-Fi, you can get it on the Sci-Fi channel as well. We're going to take another quick commercial break. We're going to come right back, and we're going to have my interview with Kevin Daniels and Luc Ashley talking about Not Another Church movie, which came out May 10th. Great movie and hilarious couple of people. We're going to talk to them. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550. Please stand by.
Stronghold! Grab him! Power wings! Oh! Stop! I've got Steelheart and Razor! No way! I'll still win! Never!
Steel will with Stronghold, Monstar with Sky Shadow, and other figures with Weapon Bird sold separately. Silverhawks, new from Kenner.
Only one man is tough enough to stop the evil outlaw Tic-Tacs. He's Brave Star. Neutral Laser and Laser Fire figures sold separately.
You're a buster, Tic-Tac. My Laser Fire backpack makes me unstoppable. Your history's Brave Star? Never. Think you're tough enough for my neutral laser cannon? Watch this. Ah! What happened? Laser fire.
Neutralaser, Laser Fire, Brave Star, and Tex Hex. Each sold separately, batteries not included. You from Mattel.
He-Man in a time warp.
Where am I?
Ancient pre-Eternia, lost land of the dinosaurs. Thunderous Tyrannosaurus Rex battles mighty Bionatops, ferocious dinosaurs.
Take this, He-Man.
How can He-Man survive?
I have the power.
New from the Masters of the Universe.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to the show. I'm James Enstall, your host. I always forget to say my name every time I enter the chat. I was going to say every time I fire up the show, I always forget to say my name. I'm James Enstall. I'm the host of this show. Thank you all for tuning in. My flock, good to see you in the chats again. And Chance, I appreciate you sticking with it. I have time with the ribs on your fingers, I know. I didn't get to Logan. I didn't get to talk about Logan with Aaron, but we had so much to talk about there with just the TV aspects. But I just talked to him off the air when we went to break, and he says he's willing to come back on so we can get into Logan next time. I think you're correct, though, Chance. Professor X died 2 times in live action, which is maybe half the amount of times he's died in the comic books, but that's a story for another time. I want to make sure we tell you about our comic book sponsor, Bugs, Comics, and Games. If you are listening right now and you were like, Resident Alien, that was a Dark Horse comic, wasn't it? You are correct. You should probably go and ask Larry at Bugs Comics if they have any Resident Alien comic books from writer-producer Chris Sheridan, who wrote the comic book series. Whether you like Dark Horse, whether you like Dynamite, whether you like Marvel, IDW, Image, whatever it might be, Larry's got it. If he doesn't have it, he'll order it for you. He's been very kind to me over the years, and I've said, hey, is it possible to get in this one Valiant comic because I'm reading Shadow Man right now? Yeah, sure, I'll order it for you. The best thing to do, though, is start a pull list. If you're here in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area, go in and you want to tell Larry 2 things. You want to say, hi, I'm a comic book fan, and I want to join your Avengers Club. That way, you're going to start saving money immediately on your new comics, your bags and your boards, your toys and your games, your Pokemon cards, your old back issue comics, whatever it is, you start saving money. The second thing you want to tell him is that I want to start a pull list. That way, New Comic Book Day comes every Wednesday, which is like Christmas for us comic book geeks. And rather than miss out, like, oh my gosh, I missed the new issue of Teen Titans. How is that possible? The new Batman issue sold out. What? You don't got to worry about it. You put these comics you want on your pull list. Larry pulls them aside and puts them away for you. That way you don't have come in on Wednesday. You make it on there on Thursday or Friday like sometimes I do. And your comics are there waiting for you and you don't miss an issue. If it's a variant cover you might want or something like that, ask him if he's got it. He'll put it aside for you. That's no problem. Start your pull list and join the Avengers Club. 2 things. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. I don't think I've ever said that on air before and I probably won't again. Bugs, Comics, and Games on Instagram. Make sure you follow him there as well. And, of course, Facebook.com/Bugs, Comics, and AND Games. That way, if you're not in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area and you see something you like that he posts on either Facebook or Instagram, say, hey, I would like to get that comic. He'll send you a PayPal invoice, and then he'll send it right to your door after you pay. Easily shipped, professionally secured and shipped. And, hey, make Bugs your new comic book store. Bugs, Comics, and Games, very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. Sometimes I do these interviews during the week because it's part of a press junket and they can't be on air with me live. So I get about 10 minutes with some of these people and we get to talk. I got the chance to talk to my next 2 guests, and both of them were funny. Both of them were a lot of fun to talk to. Here's them discussing their brand new movie. Right now we're talking with Kevin Daniels and Luc Ashley, stars of Not Another Church Movie, in theaters nationwide, May 10th. Thank you both for your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, yeah.
Of course, I love movies like this. It's in the vein of Not Another Scary Movie and the kind of the comedic send-ups of movies that we all know and love. Talk a little bit, if you could, about how you got attached to the project, and we'll start with Luc.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the luxury of being there at the table read and just providing my voice, lending my voice to some of the female characters. It was really fun. But Hoper Windfall, the character that I play, she was one of the first female voices to come up on page, and I was like, I know Oprah. Oprah's. Let's do this. So I just kind of tapped into the Oprah character, held out my vows, said some gratitude, fun, positive quotes, and just kind of carried it out. And the rest is kind of in history. So He was one of the first characters.
So great at it.
God love you.
So great at it, man. Like, yeah, I got a call from my agent. His mom, actually, believe it or not, was one of the producers of the movie. So they were like pitching my name around. I got to meet the directors and things on Zoom, talk to Johnny Mac, and like they were like, "Hey, you want to come down to Savannah and shoot this?" And I was like, "I'd love to." So we just went down there and told a couple of jokes, met some really fun people, and like we had a great time. We had a really great time. Like just like you say, we all grew up on these spoof movies. Not another teen movie, not another scary movie. Don't drink your juice in the hood. You know, all of that. Like, and it's been like 20 years since the last parody movie.
Yeah.
So the fact that we get a chance to do that now with these movies is really exciting.
And the cast, I should mention, amazing cast. Jamie Foxx, Mickey Rourke, Vivica A. Fox, Tisha Campbell, Jasmine Guy. I would assume that this is one of those movies. Yeah. I'm assuming this is one of those movies that once the premise was out there, people, it was just an offer like, hey, we'd love for you to do this. And they all said yes, I would assume.
I think so. I mean, a lot of them are you know, friends of Johnny Mac. You know, he writes for Jamie Foxx for years. And like, and everyone, like, once you find out so-and-so was doing it, you're like, well, I want to do it. Well, I want to do it with them. And it's kind of like a snowball. Yeah.
Yep.
And I wanted to ask, Luke, you started it with your writing career. I saw an interview online with you where you had to make that journey, the big leap from New York to L.A. Have you acclimated now? Are you satisfied with L.A. versus New York?
Oh, she's the queen of L.A., man. Look, she got some kids on lock. She got the comedy shows happening. She's writing new movies.
My God.
She's her release date. She got L.A. down. She's like,
my God.
The movie is May 10th. It comes out Friday. Come on.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love New York, but LA it's a different side of the country, but it's dope. You know, being out here in Hollywood, telling stories, just creating stories, it's been really fun, and getting to be on Not Another Church Movie. Are you kidding me? Like I've watched some amazing legends, and Kevin is one of those people that just watching him do these characters is Taylor and my dude, and you know, it really has just been fun. It's really been great to see him. He's got a great work ethic. He turns into these characters. It's just so fun. So I have to say, I do love LA because I've been blessed to really become good friends with a lot of these talented people who have really taught me a lot. So it's been good. Good question.
And I got to ask Kevin, because I'm a huge James Bond fan. You've done radio plays, adaptations of Diamonds Are Forever and Live and Let Die. What is that like? Talk a little bit about those projects, because I love 007.
Oh my God! So this is LA Theater Works here in LA, and like basically we take old classic plays, screenplays, and they record them with live Foley artists. So we're like in the studio, we've got a guy creating the sound effects around us, and we read the whole story, so you listen to it as an audio play. And like Rob Aries she's one of the directors of that, just to get a chance to work with those guys. That's when I first met Alfred Molina.
Oh wow!
He played my dad in Lion in Winter, and I was like, oh my God! And we're still friends to this day. But I love being able to do that. You know, you create the character, and all the audience has is your voice and these sound effects to create the story. So stepping into the James Bond world, I was like, yeah, please, can I do this? I was like, y'all got black people too? Yeah, okay, I want to be in it.
And I was looking over your resume too. You've been in some great shows throughout your career. I mean, everything from Buffy, Frasier, Charmed, Smallville, Chuck, House, Castle. The Buffy episode you did, Sleeper, again, because I'm a huge nerd. I loved that last season. So how did you like working with James Marsters? We've had on the show before. It must have been a great experience, I would hope.
Man, it was a great experience. That day was a Friday night, and they called it Buffy the Weekend Slayer. It was like we shot from Friday night to Saturday morning. But the musical episode of that show had just come out, Once More with Feeling. And I'm a big Buffy fan. I was a big fan, so getting a chance to come guest star, I was like, oh wow, yeah. But James and I literally just sang all the songs on the soundtrack.
Oh my God!
It was so much fun. I had a blast with that show. But that's the thing. I've been really fortunate in my career. I've worked with a lot of incredible artists on a lot of like cool like projects and things. I tell people, I make the joke that I'm like a 30-year overnight success story. So the fact that this movie came around and I got a chance to like stretch myself in a different way, and like I got a chance to like work with these great comedians and these great writers and directors, and then create this thing. And I think I'm pretty proud of it. I think we did a good job, and it's just supposed to make you laugh. we come out on the test, and I think it's a fun, feel-good movie.
And I wanted to ask Luke, because you do stand-up, you do writing, you do acting. During the filming of Not Another Church Movie, was there a lot of room for improv? Did some of you find the funny along the way, or was everything we were going to see pretty much scripted in the way it was in the script originally?
I mean,
I gotta say, man, it was the strictest thing we ever did. They wouldn't let us change one word.
Wow.
No, he's right. He's not right, but there was a lot of room for improv. We had a lot of fun, but you're looking at some really good chemistry too. Like Kevin plays my dude, and his character. A lot of the scenes with my dude is another character named Mo, and the two of them. I'm telling you,
Wayne Stiff is my hero. He's so great.
I know he's so talented in this, and he's an amazing showrunner, and he's got a lot of beautiful accolades as well. But the two of them, they just come together, and there's some great chemistry there, and. Even when I was playing Oprah, I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, Oprah was she's very calculated. She knows what she wants to do and I have to figure out how to really spin this a little bit. How can I make fun? How can I poke a little bit of fun? So it was really nice to see what I could come up with. I have to give credit to all the dollars I've spent for great improv training. So I was able to finally deliver.
Oh,
it always comes through. Yeah, so it was great, though, no.
And I'll ask you, too, because obviously you're both very funny, very talented people. I know Jerry Seinfeld just recently said comedy is kind of on the dying end, or whatever he said in his interview lately. You're both established people. Right. You do writing, you do comedy. We'll start with Luke on this one. Do you think there's a merit of truth to what he said, or do you think it's just a different way to look at it?
I love Seinfeld, I do, but I disagree. I mean, I think that it's just trying to find its way in the culture again. We do have, I've got kids that don't know probably who Jerry Seinfeld was, unfortunately, because they're familiar with new comics. But that doesn't mean those new comics they learn something from Jerry. You know what I mean? So he's just got to kind of talk to the youth around him and learn what the new trends are, because comedy is not dead at all. It never dies. Hello,
it never dies
ever. So you just have to stay. It's like, what do you call? What's that double dutch? You just got to figure out how to jump in and find that rhythm again.
Yeah.
And what works.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's a great analogy for it. That's exactly right. Because we can tell jokes without actually, insulting people or cutting them down or being, misogynistic or whatever. There are smarter jokes we can make. And that's all it is. It's just about what is the culture saying now? What's appropriate now? That's all.
Except now that you've called it double Dutch comedy, we're going to get letters from people in the Netherlands. That's going to offend them, so we can't do that.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. That's so funny.
My show is huge in the Netherlands, you two, so now I'm going to get all sorts of letters, but that's all right. I'll weather the storm. Again, Not Another Church Movie arrives in theaters nationwide May 10th amongst a huge cast. Like I mentioned, Jamie Foxx, Mickey Rourke, Vivica A. Fox, a talented group. Make sure you go see this movie. Kevin, Luke, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate talking to both of you.
Appreciate it.
There they go. Check that one out. As of May 10th, you can find Not Another Church Movie. Great cast. Zachary Nathanson has entered the chat. Hello, Zachary. Thanks for tuning in tonight. You're just in time for our next commercial break. We're going to take a very brief commercial break, and we're going to come right back with my interview with Jayde Donovan, talking about Apple's 100 best albums of all time. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550. Please stand by.
The ultimate battle coming soon. Enter the world of Voltron, where thrilling adventures let you soar beyond the limits of your imagination. Where the valiant Voltron force merges together in their robonic alliance to challenge the might of King Zarkon's demonic minions and menacing machines.
On Inconvenience and Captain Carson Tava on The Mandalorian, and I am thrilled to be here on Geek to Me Radio. Okay, see you.
I get these liners from these celebrities, and I send them over to Joey, and I am like, can you please, here's the music I want underneath those, because I'm technically inept. I cannot do just about anything other than edit some audio lightly. That's about it. But Joey's a wonder. So he just sent me that one earlier tonight. So I'm glad to play that. Paul Sun-Young Lee. If you didn't hear that interview I had with Paul Sun-Young Lee, I want to say it was last year. Go to geektomeradio.com and check out the website. You can search via the celebrity interviews. They're all in alphabetical order. So you can find that one there and listen to it. Or any of the other ones. If you missed my interview with Adrienne Barbeau or director Joe Dante, or way back I had John Glenn on talking about the James Bond movies that he directed, 5 consecutive Bond movies. All those interviews from our past 411 shows are archived at geektomeradio.com. And please give our YouTube subscription. Give our YouTube channel a subscription. There you go. Hit the channel button there and subscribe. Hit the little bell notification. That way, every time we go live, like we are tonight, Joey V's in studio running video, then you will get a notification that we are live and you can join us just like My Flock and just like Chance and just like Zachary there in the chats. I appreciate everyone who checks into us and checks us out and listens and watches. We appreciate all of you. Jayde Donovan, well-known in radio, and we got a chance to talk to her about Apple's 100 best albums of all time. Here we go. This week, Apple Music announced their 100 best albums of all time they'll be curating. Curating that with us today is a 3-time Gracie Award winner. We have Jayde Donovan on. Thanks for your time today.
James, thanks for having me.
Of course. Boy, when I think about a list like this, there's every year, obviously, more and more music comes out. And when people ask me my favorite song, my favorite album, I have to curate it. Do you mean movie soundtrack? Do you mean 80s? Do you mean country? Do you mean R&B? To try to take all of music and distill it down into 100 best albums of all time. Talk a little bit about this process for you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, given how many great albums have been recorded over the last 65 years, you feel our pain and you feel our challenge, right? To keep this list tight at 100 was an enormous challenge, coming together and finding consensus on what makes an album great, and then even widening the conversation about that has been, a joyful process, a painstaking process. I feel like there's people in the office that we still kind of have side eye when we walk by each other because, we're very passionate about our picks and the voting process, but Apple Music is really about human curation and storytelling. It's at the heart of everything that we do. It's really important to us to support artists and the stories that they want to tell through their music. And so this list is really a celebration of each one of these albums as its own body of work. Each one of these albums represents a story, something that'll capture you in a moment in time. It represents what was going on in pop culture at the time, what was going on in their lives. You've got joy, you've got heartbreak, you've got, in a lot of these albums, a turning point for the artist where they said, no, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to listen to myself. This is what I want to do. And I think that's why a lot of these resonate, is just the level of authenticity. Like, this list was not based on, streaming or commercial success. It was really driven by a bunch of music lovers from our editorial team and songwriters and producers, and artists like Pharrell and J Balvin and Maren Morris, Nile Rodgers. We all came together and we're like, man, what albums resonated with you the most over the last 65 years? And let's also consider, like you said, the albums of the 90s and 2000s and ones more recently that we've fallen in love with, and give those some shine too.
It's always hard, too, because obviously music has that bit of nostalgia tied to it. It's the music we listened to in the car when our mom or dad were driving us to a theme park or something like that, or the music that was playing to the first movie we saw, or the music that we had our first kiss to. So it's so hard to separate emotions like that. I can only imagine the side eye you're getting in the office when something is left off of someone's personal list. That's so hard to do.
Well, what I do love, though, is that I've been exposed to so many different albums in this process that I hadn't spent time with before, because it's open to all genres. So there's, harder rock albums, there's folk albums, there's Radiohead I hadn't spent a ton of time with. I know they're top of the line hits just from working in radio for 20 years, but to go back and go, okay, let me spend more time with OK Computer. Let me see what that was all about. Let me see what Bjork is at. Let me go back and enjoy Exodus for all that it is by Bob Marley, and really get a feel for that moment in time and the story that they're telling.
And if people listening right now are interested, you can find this list at 100, the number 100best.music.apple.com. radio.com. You have a great story about your perseverance in radio too. I read an interview with you talking about, you know, the tragic events that lost you your first job in radio, but then how you pushed to be on WXXL in Orlando. If you could just take a minute or two, talk about how the importance of perseverance.
What I think, because I think it's really important, and I thank you for bringing that up. It means a lot to me. That was a really difficult time for a lot of us, and, you know, very tragic time. And, you know, the beauty about losing everything is that you've got nothing to lose to keep trying. And so showing up at that radio station when they told me no, and, you know, flying out there because I just had this gut feeling that I had to keep trying. And there was something about this opportunity that I knew, you know, that I needed to keep reaching for it. And it ended up working out. And it doesn't always work that way. But I think even if you're at a moment in your life where you feel like all is lost, you don't know where you're going to turn to next, you know, there's some power in not having anything to lose.
Yeah.
Take it from me, you know, keep going.
And I'm curious, obviously radio has been a huge part of your life. You obviously hosted the Jayde Donovan show on Apple Music Hits. I'm curious, when you're just on your own, when you're alone in your room, do you still have physical media, like going back to cassette tapes or CDs? And what's something you'll just, when you just kind of want to be alone with your thoughts, what's some of your albums that you might pop in the CD player or queue up on your Apple streaming?
James, you know it. I am so a fan of traditional media. I've been in radio again like 20 years. I'm old as hell, but I love vinyl. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was one of the first albums I bought on vinyl, which is the number one spot on our list. But I also love Fleetwood Mac Rumors, which was one of my picks that made the list. I listen to that on vinyl all the time. I'm still in search of like a tape player and a CD player combo, but I want like a classic, like a vintage one, not like a new age one.
Right.
But I think appreciating those as a body of work and the physical piece of art that you get to hold in your hands is also truly special.
And again, if you're just now tuning in, you can check it out. The best 100 albums of all time, now available from Apple Music's list. It is at 100best.music.apple.com. If you're listening to this after the fact in the podcast form, scroll down to the bottom of the page. We'll have a link to it in the show notes. If people want to keep up with you more online, Jayde, find out more about you, website, social media handles, where are you active?
Yeah, reach out on Instagram. I try to avoid a lot of the social media because it makes me slightly nuts. But if you go to my Instagram, just like slide into my DM, say hi. I'd love to meet you. We can chat music. Tell me what you hate about the list. Tell me what you love about the list. Tell me what music you're into. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram, and it's at Jayde Donovan.
Perfect. I so appreciate your time. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for all your work and your perseverance, and hopefully we can have you back on again soon.
I love that. James, you're the best. Thank you so much. Keep doing what you do.
Thank you. Take care. Be well.
You too.
There she goes. Jayde Donovan again. Apple 100 best albums of all time. Zachary Nathanson says Pink Floyd could have been in the top 10. Don't disagree with you, Zachary. That's, some of the bands, like I said at the beginning of the interview, it's been so many music now, and every year we add more and more music to the mix. So it's very hard, I would think, to curate that. I wouldn't want that job, but Jayde Donovan and the people over there did a great job on that. And Christian Basil from Legend of the Traveling TARDIS is in the house. If you're a Doctor Who fan, check out Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. They have shows that they broadcast every Tuesday. You can subscribe to them on YouTube as well. Also on Facebook. Just look up the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. That's going to do it. We're coming up on the end of the hour here. I can't believe how quickly the time has flown by. We've just got a minute left. I want to make sure we tell you we have a brand new episode of Justice League Revisited, the podcast that Susan Eisenberg and I do. Before we hit our season 2, episode 1, we're doing a Kevin Conroy tribute episode that a lot of the fans have asked about. So we're going to be doing that for our inaugural episode as we gear up for season 2. Our season 2 episode's already in the can, as they say, or Susan likes to say anyway. And that'll be airing 2 Tuesdays from now. Hello, everyone outside the window. Hello. So if you haven't checked that out, Justice League Revisited, wherever you get your podcasts from. Paul Gubani and I are doing a lot of work on Two Rivers Comic Con, which will be a year from now. Oh my gosh, we're a year away from Two Rivers Comic Con. So make sure you check that out as we grow closer. We'll have more guest announcements and other things to tell you about there on that front. New Comic Con coming to the St. Louis, St. Charles area, and we could not be more excited. That is going to do it. Another show in the books. Thank you very much to Aaron Wiener. We appreciate him being live on air with us. Thank you to Kevin Daniels and Luc Ashley. Thank you to Jayde Donovan. Thank you to you, the listener. Thank you to the show look and sound as good as it does. Thank you to all of you in the chat who tuned in, and until next week, my friends.
It's not in the way you watch iZombie. It's not in the way you watch The Flash. It's not in the way you love Scotty Young Art. It's not in the way you play Mario Kart. It's not in the way you look when you make Game of Thrones references. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, Patience, Colorado. Good night.
KTRS St. Louis.
From ABC News.